Hey y'all! Well, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do some product review type things. And I just want to share with you some of the tools that I found super useful and you've seen me using on the channel. And just wanted to share that with you so that maybe you can do the stuff you see me doing on the channel, because it does take some tools. And I'm going to start down here on this end. This Hako soldering station is the bomb. I mean, I've used all kinds of different soldering solutions over the years, you know, from those Willer guns to pencil soldering irons, and for soldering up electronics, I'm amazed how good this works. And it's really nice to have a temperature controlled iron that's also pretty high wattage. In the past, when you were soldering electronics, they told you, make sure you use like a 5-watt soldering pencil. And the problem with that, if you try to solder something a little bigger, because sometimes some of the components have bigger leads on them, they don't have enough power to do that. And so then you have to leave the iron on them for like 30 seconds to get them hot enough to melt the solder. And you're just cooking the components. Where these temperature controlled ones, they hold the temperature, and if you put the iron on something and the temperature starts dropping, it just puts more power to it, and it makes the solder joint soldering much faster. And I'm not going to go into all the details about it, but it's got multiple, I think you can put 3 different temperature presets in it. It comes with this really nice little stand for the iron, and you probably hear this little noise in my videos. Well, that's what that is me putting the iron back in this little holder. But it's got the wool stuff here, this gold for cleaning the tip off, so it makes it real handy to clean the tip. And then it's got a little sponge thing here that you can dampen and keep a wet sponge here to really get the flux off the iron tip. So if you're in search of a soldering iron, links in the description below. It's a less than $120 well spent. I'm going to jump down here to the other end. You see me testing analog gear. Well, Analog Discovery 2 is really awesome. And I've seen people responding, well, I think I want to get an oscilloscope. Well, that's what this is. And much more. It really was expanded by the stuff made, and I'll link the video below, his freeware that interfaces with this hardware that you hook up to your computer to automate the measuring process of THD versus power, THD versus frequency, and it does the kind of things that computers really excel at, and that's just back-to-back measuring, the same thing with slight changes to create graphs and all that kind of stuff. Just makes it so much easier. And before, I've been using my analog scope, because that's what I'm used to with a signal generator, and I'm discovering that the scope function of this, I'm getting the same results I was with the analog scope. And I'm not sure I'm going to stop using my analog scope because I really enjoy it too, but for the price of a used analog scope or a digital scope, you can buy the Analog Discovery 2 kit that comes with the breakout board. It comes with a couple of probes. I'll put the link below. They just came out with Analog Discovery 3, so these are now discounted. I doubt that freeware software is going to work with Analog Discovery 3. It was designed for the Analog Discovery 2. Not sure. I haven't talked to the guy that wrote the software. Maybe he's watching the video. I'll tag him. I'm not sure if he's going to update this to work with the newest version of this. I kind of hope he is, because I haven't really looked into what the 3 does. But right now, you can get this for, I think the whole kit's under $400, which is a really good deal for something that's a scope, and it does all the full-featured stuff that freeware gives it. So now we're going to get into some hand tools, and I love this Hako soldering station. I also love their little electronic tools. These little flush cutting pliers, I've had these things for a couple of years now, and they're still sharp. And they sell them in a bundle like they expect them to go dull or whatever, but these things are still nice and crisp, and they're, again, a pretty budget-friendly tool that you really need in your toolbox. The other one is this little stripper that's got a little pair of pliers on the end, and well, it's got some cutters. I rarely use that, but I mean, I guess for snipping leads off or snipping some wire off, it would be okay. But the wire stripper part of this works really good. And my only complaint is this little lock thing's kind of weak. I don't know, it just doesn't fit with the quality of the rest of the tool. But otherwise, these have been really nice. Now, I was introduced to another brand of tools, and these are called KAIWEETS, KAIWEETS. And this is a set of larger flush cutters that have some strippers here on the inside for some bigger wire. Well, these only go up to, let me look at what this goes up to. These go up to 16 gauge. These will strip down to 10 gauge. So like working with, speaker cables, or working even with like shielded cable, taking just the outside off, this 10 gauge one works really good. At first I was worried about this little thing being annoying, but it just flips out of the way and you don't even notice it. And these flush cutters, while they're, a little big for getting into electronic boards and stuff, they do work. And especially if you got some bigger leads, and because they got a little more leverage to them, these things are really nice side cutters too. So I don't know which one, you buy these two tools, or you get this one, and while it is a little harder to get into tight places with this for doing like circuit boards and stuff where you're just cutting off the flush ends of it, these would work too. So maybe get all three like I have. The last thing I want to go over is this KAIWEETS digital meter. And normally I have a pretty expensive fluke meter that I've had for probably a decade at least. And I know that it's reliable and dependable. And so I wanted something that was maybe a more budget-friendly one. And I bought a really cheap one. Let me see if I can find this really cheap one. Here's this little really cheap one. And honestly, guys, I can't recommend these. They're just, while they read right most of the time, some of the time they just act flaky. And this one eats batteries, and it's just annoying to use. The other thing is these little connectors that you put the leads into, there's some weird size, and only their leads will work on it, which is, that's another waste of my time, that you got to find special leads to work with these. So can't recommend this, but I've been using this guy on and off for a few weeks, and so far I really like it. I've tested it against my fluke. I'm getting the exact same measurements. The leads are a normal size. It's got a ton of different settings in here. I haven't even been able to explore everything. It does stuff that even my fluke meter doesn't do, which we're going to experiment on one of my preamps about trying to search down the hum, and I think this will do some stuff that my fluke meter won't do. And this is very reasonable price too. I think they're like $50, and that fluke meter was over $200. And so if you're going to be doing like maybe even more casual work, this thing may work for commercial duty. I know fluke's kind of the gold standard, and so it does have that going for it. But so far I've been super impressed with this little meter. And so if you're looking for a budget meter without spending a fortune, this might be a good place to look. It comes with a little carrying case. It comes with a temperature probe. It comes with some pretty nice leads that have little covers for them. The only thing that I'm hoping they're watching, I wish they would add some alligator clip like adapter things that would go on the ends of these leads, just slide over or something, because a lot of times we do need to be testing stuff with one hand behind our back when we're working on high voltage tube stuff. And so then I have to go get the leads off my fluke meter to use on this for that. And so obviously if you don't have another meter, then you're going to have to invest in some different leads for this meter so that you can use it with tube gear. So anyway, just wanted to share some product stuff with you. I'm going to put links below for all this stuff. And again, that's part of this hobby, is you do have to have tools, and I've really been impressed with this set. So anyway, hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. And until next time, have a nice day.